Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
Yo, it's Tavon Greatness Patterson. Want to listen to Hot 7025 on the go? Download the Hot 702.5 app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store if you got an Android like me.
Let's get it.
Hi. Hey.
What's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Yeah. Jones. Hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams, and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville, help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.
All right, good Thursday afternoon. It's Greg Deville back in the air. Here we're talking about real estate, credit restoration. We want to make sure that you are getting information that's going to empower you in 2024. That's right. Happy New Year to everyone. It's our regular Thursday 3 o'clock show, 3 to 4 p.m. This is what we do. The Greg Deville Let's Talk Real Estate show, and I'm the host, Greg Deville. Want to thank everybody that's had contact with us. As you know, we have this upcoming education class as usual. This is going on our 7th year. Isn't that wonderful? We have been empowering and educating the community on home ownership and how to know the different ins and outs of a home ownership. So I have my guest today, Romy with CLPC. That's right. He's here with us this afternoon, and he's going to be our guest. Today we're going to be talking on this show about credit restoration. As many of you are preparing for a tax refund, I want to make sure that we're helping you to direct those funds because you just had Christmas. So this year, you've been promising yourself for the past 5 or 6 years, you've been hearing me for at least, this is our 7th year with the home buyer education. And you've been listening to me quite a while. But this year, the year 2024 is the year of a new beginning. So I want you to do something new. Do something you haven't done before. Take those tax credit refunds and let's use them towards paying down old debt. Is that all right? 702-349-0162. That's my number to reach me directly. I want to directly hear from you. If you have available this coming Saturday, don't forget the home buyer education right there at 555 North Maryland Parkway in 89101. It's right there on the corner of Maryland and Bonanza. Want you to come out. You have to pre-register. 702-349-0162. We want to get your name on the list. Lunch is provided. No children are allowed, as we don't want to have any distractions from all the great information that will be given out on this coming Saturday. So I'm excited to have my guest. Romy's on the airways with us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Romy. How are you, man?
Hey, good afternoon, Greg. Thank you for having me on. Glad to be here.
All right. Yes. As usual, Romy, we always talk about some of the great benefits about how CPLC helps many families get into the home ownership. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about what we have planned for February 3rd,
Yes.
which is Saturday, February 3rd, about this credit restoration symposium. So you guys are offering an opportunity for those to get a credit report. Typically it costs $80 to $100. But through your nonprofit, share with us through, working with your nonprofit, how this can benefit many who need to talk about credit restoration.
For sure. So my program is a HUD certified program. So uh, one of the big components that we push in the community is credit review, credit repair. We're obligated to do a credit pull, but in our case, we're obligated to do a soft pull, meaning that the consumer, their credit report is not, or the credit score is not going to be affected. So we don't necessarily do a hard pull. So you can do it all day long.
Right. Okay. So now, for the mere cost, we know you guys being a nonprofit organization, we don't have to look at individuals that are interested in finding out what that looks like, what their credit looks like. It's a mere, what did we say, $25, $30? What does that number look like?
That's correct. So the consumer pays the cost of the report. In a normal situation, the consumer will pay online for their free to view their credit, their FICO scores, anywhere from 25 to 35. So here we charge them the fee that it actually takes to pull their report through Credco, Tri-Mortgage report.
Okay, and they'll get all three reviews. Is that correct on the soft pull?
Yes, they get all three scores.
All three scores, and they'll get the actual number.
Yes, so they get three scores, and we identify the middle one, and that's the one the lender will go for mortgage qualification.
And so oftentimes sometimes they may be off a little bit. So what we talked about in our meeting on this week was about the Credit Restoration Symposium and them coming in with, advance paying, and we're setting that link up so they can pay it in advance so that when they come February 3rd, the credit report is there. They give their name, they're registered, they get a copy of that report. They meet one-on-one with the lender so they can talk directly. My mom used to say, hear it from the horse's mouth, right? Don't get a third party, get here from the horse's mouth. You heard that statement before, Romy?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. It's
So
they're the experts in the field, so they're getting firsthand advice on how to deal and negotiate their credit.
Exactly. So I want to talk directly with the lender so they know exactly. Because many, what, Romy, I hear a lot of people say, I got medical bills. And based on medical, that's not a credit. It may be on their report, right? But it's not what the lender looks for in approving someone, right?
That's correct. The lenders will kind of analyze.
Yeah.
They will analyze your collections or your liabilities and let you know which ones affect your credit or your credit application and which ones don't.
Okay, sounds good. A soft pull credit from the nonprofit organization CPLC. So we want to get many of you the opportunity to go into finding out what it looks like. Because as we were discussing, Romy, on what did we have, this Tuesday meeting, we were discussing about, people using tax refunds, right?
That's correct.
Well, I like to say we just had Christmas. I mean, what else could they possibly, I'm just wondering, what else could they possibly need when you can use these funds? And that's the thing. When they sit with the lender, look at what needs to be taken care of to help expedite them getting their scores to the place. Now, when you talk scores based on the grant funding, now give me that price or that number that's still available that we have in the pot, if you will. I thought it was somewhere of $1 million towards homebuyer.
The magic number that we look for in a FICO score is a 640. If you're less than 640, then we work with you and addressing those credit lines or deficiencies. And the goal is to get you above a 640.
Get you above the 640. So somebody may just be just shy. So when we sit with the lender can help them to kind of determine what's necessary.
Yes, that's correct.
Really pay off, with that tax refund, right? So that we're using these funds wisely with this tax refund that many do receive in the coming month, which is normally around February, March. But if we give them a game plan, and that's why I wanted you here today, was to get the game plan, the strategy on, how to make this money work for them, So again, now we were talking about there's a program that has upward of $1 million, a program out there that has, you mentioned a number. What amount is available for these first-time home buyers?
So in the last round, we actually have 1.1 million left, and the down payment program is a 4-to-1 match. So there's a minimum contribution that the home buyer can make of 3,000, and we match it times 4. So they'll get 12,000 from the program. And then anywhere in between, right, to the highest contribution, which is 7,250. The home buyer contributes that amount, and the program gives them 29,000. So they have a good amount of money to start with to cover their down payment and closing cost requirements. We have a balance of 1.1 million. We want to get rid of it this year, but the new cycle starts April 1st. So the pot will be replenished. So we'll have a lot of funds available.
So for somebody just tuned in, you said that score that you look for is at least a 640, although some of the lenders are using the 620, but you like to have them at a 640.
Yes.
Which is always, better anyway, right? But that 1.1 million is what's left now towards some funds that's allocated towards the first-time buyers.
That's correct. So if everybody gets the max assistance of 29,000,
okay,
we're looking at a total of 38 home buyers can still get funds. That's still a
funds. 30. Okay, so look, that's at least until
April 1st. They get
so how do they reserve that, Romy? How do they reserve? So they got their credit, they got pre-approved. Do they reserve the funds when they do the application? How does that work?
So when they come to the application to get pre-screened for the program, we actually do the income qualification for the program. What's going to reserve their DPA, their down payment, their money is a fully executed contract.
Okay. So it's not enough to just be approved. You actually have to find a place,
yes,
and be an open escrow that locks the monies.
That's correct.
So it behooves someone to get that pre-approval, and that's again the Credit Restoration Symposium. Come out, see if you're not ready. We've done this over the years, Romy, and we've had people that were just a few points away.
Yeah.
Right? I know when I got started back in 2015, I was just a few points shy of being, approved, and they gave me the game plan. So what this symposium is about is giving many a game plan that will help them to get in position, get in line to be part of that 39. Well, not everyone's going to get up to 29.
Yeah.
Now, let's say somebody only needs 15,000.
Well, 15,000. They can put 4,000 out of pocket, and the program will give them 16,000. So anywhere in between, from 3 to 7250, we just do the 4-to-1 match.
4-to-1 match. So, but the lowest they could come in with with this tax funds, what's the lowest amount they can come in with?
$3,000.
$3,000.
Yes.
Which will match time 4, which will give them up to 12. Am I seeing my math right?
That's correct. They'll get 12,000 from the program.
Okay. Good.
The key component of this program is forgivable money, right? The catch to this, that is forgivable after 5 years. Each year, 1 year is prorated. So if let's say you decide to sell in 3 years, you only owe 2 years of the down payment assistance.
Okay. So every year it falls off every year. So
That's
what
correct.
you really want to do is just keep it 5 years, 5 Christmas trees, 5 Thanksgiving dinners, right? You can sell it, refinance it, and get a larger home. But start. I have a gentleman who got approved recently, and he bought a little townhome. That's where his price range was. He got some of the funding that we're talking about, and it's a starter home, right?
That's correct.
So we want to help many with a starter home. Now, get the information that helps you resolve and use those funds. And I'm big on people using funds wisely because you get it once a year. And many, Romy, I see they have fun. They go out and they just, Gucci down to the socks, and yet they continue to pay the rent to someone else. I had a young lady, I saw a post on Facebook today, and she said at 13, what did she say? $1,300 a month over 30 years is 400-something thousand that you will have paid in rents.
If you do the math, that's correct.
If you do the math, right? $1,300 a month for 30 years. You paid someone's mortgage. And people living in these homes 5, 6, 7 years, and they've paid down. So, Romy, I heard your calculator kicking over there. Can you tell me if somebody's paying $1,800 a month, right, on your calculator? times 12 months. What does that number look like? Because somebody's paying 18.
21,600
That's in a year.
in a year.
They've been there 3 years. How much did they pay in 3 years, Romy?
64,800.
So they paid 64,000 towards somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah.
So this is why we want the credit symposium, to get people out of paying someone else's monies or mortgage, and now the equity goes to the landlord. And
That's
so
correct.
just last week, Romy, I got about 3 different phone calls from landlords or the tenants. The landlords are selling their homes.
That's correct.
This is a new year, they're selling, and now they're scrounging to find somewhere to live, Romy. It's tough because what's amazing is the property management companies. I've seen them wanting to have they want you to have a 650 FICO.
Yeah.
You said you could sell them with a 640.
And think about not only the requirements now, the deposit requirements, the increases in rents. If you don't lock in that lease for 2 to 4 years, every year your lease is up, you risk your rent going up $300 to $600. And those are the horror stories we're hearing out there.
It is. And so what we're trying to do now, again, Credit Restoration Symposium, February 3rd, we're looking between 11 and 2, just 11 and 2. You register, get a copy of your credit report, to talk to Romy. They're going to run the credit report for you for a mere $25. It goes to cover the cost of the report. You'll get that report. You'll sit down with a lender directly, hear me, and the lender will tell you what you need to do. Too many times people are trying to figure it out. I look at a credit report, I don't know what the heck I'm looking at oftentimes, right? I just see this. I just leave it alone. And
sometimes it's weird science, right?
Huh?
Sometimes it's weird science for the average.
It is. And so why try to figure it out when I'm going to have someone there? I'm going to have 3 lenders in the house, and I'm going to have 2 credit restoration people on standby.
That's
so
correct.
For those who need more work on their credit, there'll be someone there to walk you through it. And for those who need a simple answer, right? I just need you to take your tax refund. What do you say? $3,000 will get you up to $12,000. Now, Romy, if they come up with the 5, we match your time 4 up to 20, can they use those funds toward closing costs?
Yes. It'll help cover their down payment requirement, and then the balance can help cover the closing costs.
Okay, because that's a big factor. Is people always talk about, okay, I got the down, but did you think about the closing costs? And so we don't want to forget the closing costs.
That's correct.
So it's recommended that at the 3 is only 12, but if the house requires 10,000, you only got 2,000 toward closing costs. Many times they'll need some skin in the game.
Yes. So a person that's contributing the max $7,250, they're going to get $29,000. They have a total of $36,250 to work with. Think about it. In some cases, down payment, closing costs, and even a little bit of principal pay down.
Okay. And that's a mere $7,200, $7,250.
$7,250.
So somebody getting a tax refund of $8,000, take $7,250, and you'll get up to how much is it?
$29,000.
$29,000, and they only need, let's say they qualify at $350. I think that's about $14. They'll have another $14 they can pay toward closing costs, and then buy down some of the principal rate, some of the interest rate.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow. So this is what we're talking about at the Greg Deville Let's Talk Real Estate Show, is empowering the community to take advantage of government resources that are available. But you have to have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
You will need to have a FICO, as Romy mentioned, at least a 640. Now, a 620 in many cases, but a 640 for sure.
Yes. And let me explain why we as a nonprofit want you at a 640. Yeah. So conventional loan wants you at a 620, right? So when you get near closing, if you're at that 620 threshold and something happens in your credit profile that brings you down to a 600, you might not get to close on your home if the lender pulls your credit again and sees that your credit scores were dinged. So we want that little cushion so that we ensure that when you get to closing, you walk away with your keys.
And we want to make mention as well is that when you're going through this process, don't finance anything. Don't use your credit card to go and finance anything at all, because it will certainly kill your deal, right?
No new furniture.
No new furniture. A guy financed the couch. And he said, well, guess what? He still doesn't have a home today, and that's over 2 years ago.
Not a brand new BMW, not yet.
buy a car, truck, or van unless you plan to live in it.
That's correct.
Because at the end of the day, it will. So Romy, what we've been seeing, and you and I have been around a long time in this industry, we've seen people go through the process and get denied right at the end.
That's correct.
I mean, lose escrow money. I just had a guy recently lose $3,000, didn't follow the program rules, and lost $3,000. Nothing you could do about it.
At that point, you're not getting your money back, right?
Not getting your money back. And you can cry and whimper and, do everything in disrespect. But at the end of the day, the decisions now we're giving you the what to do's and not to do's, right? The 10 laws or commandments of do nots, right? And so at the end of the day, keep in mind, so all these funds are allocated to help you, but you've got to put something back into the pot. So minimal 3,000, max 7520. Is that right? 7520?
7,250.
7250. So 7250 get you up to 29,000, but 3,000 will get you up to 12,000. But you got a tax refund that you can use those funds wisely and get your closing costs done, get your first home. Now, Romy, when we talk first home, it may not be the dream home. I don't know anyone. Maybe you know. I haven't seen anyone get their dream home at the first home on an average government program. I don't know about you.
Well, and that's what we have to teach people is that, it doesn't have to be the perfect home. A starter home is something that you can put your energy and your vision into. And then once you get that home where you want it to be, you build that equity. Value, right?
There you go. Keep building on that. Keep building on that. That's the thing that people, again, we want to make sure we're addressing with them is that your first home is your starter home, build equity. But now if you go through the program, as Romy mentioned, it is a 5-year that you have to pay some of. The first year it knocks off of the 12 and it goes down the second year up to 5 years. It's divided or calculated where so much comes off until it's paid back.
So
is that right?
It turns out that every year $5,800 will be forgiven on the anniversary of your closing.
Okay, $5,800. Okay, so if you stay, and that's on that 29,000 is what we're talking about on that number.
That's correct.
Correct.
29,000. Yeah.
On the 29,000. So have you been seeing people more apt to go with the 5,000 or the 7,250? What have you been seeing a lot more of?
Well, it all depends on the housing market, right? Last year we encouraged people to go with the max because the more money, the more buying power you have. It all depends on the loan amount, right? Based on what you need. So obviously the housing counselor and the lender will kind of guide you on what you really need. So you don't have to do the max, but you can if you have the ability. We always recommend the max because who doesn't need $29,000?
Right, or who can't use 29, right? We can always find a way to so when you write the offer and you're paying your own closing costs, it makes it nicer to the seller. Your offer stands a better chance at getting accepted when you're paying your own closing costs versus asking the seller to pay. Now, are these only FHA type loans with this particular program, or can I do a conventional?
You can do both, FHA and conventional.
Okay, so you're recommending the 640 because I can do a conventional. But what about the PMI? So we know that is taken into consideration.
The PMI, that obviously, in most cases, there will be a PMI unless we do the 20% down payment, right?
20%, well.
If the 20%, then we can get rid of that. But most likely you'll have it.
You'll have that. So that's to be taken into consideration. So again, meeting with that lender, knowing what you qualify for, and working with what you have. What I've been seeing also, Romy, is that many are approved, let's say at $500,000, but the mortgage payment at that number is really astronomical. So we're telling people you don't have to use, $500,000. You can. I had a lady; they were a pretty high number, but they purchased at $385 because the number made more sense for the mortgage payment.
That's correct.
Based on the interest.
And you as a home buyer, you know what you can afford, right?
Yeah.
If you barely are making enough to cover $1,800, a $2,000 payment, the goal is to get you a similar payment so that your payment shock is not out of the norm.
But now we know that in many cases you may pay a few $100s more. What I've been seeing on record is that you may pay a few $100s more than you're paying in rent, but at least you're putting that equity in your own pocket.
Correct.
Because you're paying equity
when you pay rent, you're just paying it for someone else. So when we say, let's get your own piece of the American dream, which is home ownership, we're going to help you by giving you the funds up to $29,000. I love that number. That sounds really nice. $29,000. And all you need is $7,250 and they'll match you times 4.
That's correct.
Am I saying that correctly?
That's correct. 4-to-1 match.
4-to-1 match. And so for those of you, and you don't know where your credit is, or you know your credit's bad. I mean, it's not a surprise, right? Just how bad is it is what we're talking about, getting you to come to realization with is how bad is it? How far am I away from the 640, the magical number, right? Somebody says, well, I'm too far. Well, how far? How far is too far? So what we're talking about is February 3rd, come down, pre-register. It's a $25 nonprofit organization that will help you get a copy of that report, read it with the lender, not myself, not Romy. It's going to be a certified lender who will review it with you, give you the strategy on how to and what to exactly pay. Or sometimes, you can dispute an action, right? Because what I've learned, Romy, is a lot of times people have old addresses on their credit report. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that old stuff comes off, and you'd be surprised how people's numbers have, but they just don't know. Mm-hmm. And this is what to do is February 3rd, 2024, is to get a head start on tax refunds that are going to be used. This year, we want to use the term wisely. Use the term wisely, because that's how we want to spend the money, because it's a new year. It's a new beginning. So while you're losing weight, while you say you're going to stop smoking, you're going to stop drinking, you're going to love your brother better, right? Yeah. Get yourself a house, right? Yeah. Get
maybe
you something.
That vacation has to be postponed for the next year. The housing market is getting a little bit better this year. So we're very excited of what we're seeing, not only with the prices coming a little bit down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, interest rates are coming down, and that's been good. Home prices, based upon 2022, the same house the guy bought then is only worth, it was $495. Today it's only worth $445.
That's a good sign. Hopefully
that's a good sign. Yeah. Yep. So it's coming down, which means, now they don't have the equity they had before, but that's a seller problem. The buyers can take advantage of what's available, and that's what we want to help you. We want to help the buyer get into something, right?
That's
because again, the property management companies are saying $650. I had a client, Roman, believe it or not, and her credit wasn't well. We sold her home because it was going into foreclosure. We were able to save by selling a pre-foreclosure sale, but she was able to get $145,000. But because she had gotten so many months behind, her credit had really been dinged, right? Yeah. So now we said, well, we're going to help you get into a rental. I don't do rentals typically, but because I sold her home, I committed to help her find somewhere to go. So when we did, because of her credit being low 500s, they charged her 3 times. Now, the house only rented for $1,900. 4-bedroom home, North Las Vegas, right? Guess what? She had to pay somewhere near $7,600 to get into it because of the FICO. And so that's why we're talking about, let's look at the FICO, not with me or Romy. We want you to meet with the lender. That's not what we do, right? But we just want to guide you guys the right direction, because the lender we met with, you and I, Romy, on Tuesday or whatever, he said it costs nearly $100 for the
lender
to run your credit report. Yeah. And you don't even get a copy of that. That stays with them.
Consumers can get a free copy of their credit report, but it doesn't come with the FICO scores. It's only the report itself. To get the FICO scores, they have to pay anywhere from $35 to $50. So here at CPLC, right, we do the Credco soft pull. You pay for your own report, and you walk out with a copy of your report.
Look at that. So you're going to know, and then they're going to highlight, the lender's going to highlight what you need to do. So you're going to have a game plan. Then when you get this tax refund, you know what to tackle, and then you know what to dispute, because a lot of consumers aren't aware third-party collections agencies are illegal, right? So they put this on your report illegally, right? Because you owed another company, they bought it for 10 cents on a dollar. They throw it on your credit report. Most consumers aren't aware. That's illegal. So you can dispute that, right? They have to remove it. Why? Because you don't owe them. You owe the third party. You owe the first party.
The original creditor. That's
the
correct.
original creditor. So many aren't aware about this information.
And how to address those circumstances, right?
Right.
And that's why the options are here. Whether it's a lender guiding you, whether it's the credit repair or the credit counseling, you'll have options that day for you to choose from.
And so through your credit counseling, explain how that works with CPLC.
So credit counseling, one of our service lines is credit counseling. So the difference between credit counseling and credit repair is we teach the consumer how to do these things themselves, right?
Right.
How to empower themselves, how to work their credit, whether it's good or bad, right? Credit repair, obviously, those are agencies that charge a fee, and obviously consumers have the choice of going whoever they choose from. But we're about offering options for them, and so you can, on the day of the symposium, you can choose which direction you want to go.
Right. So of course, coming to you all, that's a free service. But you just guide them on what to do, versus the other company will dispute things for them.
Yes, exactly. The difference
you all
is
don't do.
We give you the tools how to do it yourself. But some people would love that extra help, right? From some of the credit repair companies that are out there.
Right, because I personally use one, and it was much easier. They knew what to do. They got it done, and next thing I heard, I was good. So that's the ultimate word, right? Is to hear you're good to go. And so now,
that's correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about, and I want to see many again take advantage of what we're doing with CPLC. Now that's located at 5555 North Maryland Parkway, right at Maryland and Bonanza. You can get free understanding. Well, it costs you $25 to get your report. It's a soft pull, but it reads the same. It's just a soft pull. It doesn't hinder it anymore. And what do you want to do? Find out your numbers, because as Romy mentioned, you can look at it on freecreditreport.com, but you don't get a number.
That's correct.
So at least with the number.
Let's talk about Credit Sesame and the other popular one, right? What's the other one?
Equifax.
No, it's Credit Sesame, and then there's the other one that that we use quite a bit to go look at our credit lines. Those scores are never going to be the same as a soft pull or a lender credit report.
Right. Credit Karma.
That's correct.
Credit Karma. Yeah, so people always
of where your score is, but it's not going to be what the lender's going to observe or we're going to observe in our program.
It's not going to be as accurate as what your program is able to do. And we want to be accurate. We want to be on point. And so, again, with this February 3rd now, don't forget, it's an opportunity that you can come, but you have to pre-register. You have to pay in advance so that we can have a credit report there. When you get there, it'll be there. Once you register and you get there, you sign up, your report will be handed to you. Then you will take a seat with the lender and let the lender go over with you what it looks like. Some of you, again, may have some things. Romy, once I had a lady, she only needed $289 on an old debt that was hindering her report. She said, if you pay this, you're actually in a good place. But that old collection is hindering you from being approved. And she paid it. She has a house. It's probably about going on 4 years now.
That's correct. And in some cases, people obviously are hoping that the collection's going to fall someday, right? But if you don't address it, so all the good work you're doing over here, that collection is dragging your score. So at some point, we have to address it, whether it's negotiation or removal, but we have to address it.
Right. And then here's what I've been seeing. People say, well, if I wait 7 years, it'll fall off. What these creditors have been doing, these third party, is they're refiling them. They'll sell it. When it come on that 7 year, they'll sell it to another company, and then they'll file it all over again. Guess what? It just keeps revolving. Yep. Exactly. Keeps revolving. So it never goes away until you address it. And so I'm glad you used that word, address the negative in your life, right? In 2024, no matter what it is, let's just address it. I tell people, let's deal with the elephant in the room, which is your credit, right? Because you want a home, because many have the backyard is a balcony of an apartment building. That's the max of their backyard. This year, at least if that's all you can afford, let's let it be yours. This is my balcony, right? I'm not paying off the landlord for him to call me and tell me what? You're selling. You're selling. I had a lady so stressed out, she was almost trying to stress me out. I said, look, I won't be.
Life happens, Greg. You have no control, right? When you're renting a single family home, you have no control.
No
One day
control.
you're in, and the next day you're out.
You're at their mercy, and so it's a tough situation. But do you know how much work it takes? So I tell people, look, you might want to go to that apartment building for the second chance, because most of the time they've been renting, but their credit is always low. And so if you are paying rent this year with your tax refund, like we mentioned, February 3rd, come learn what you need to do. And it may not happen in 2 months. It may take 4 months, right? But get a start now. Prepare for the new beginning of 2024, the year of new beginning. And let's make a move to make something different happen in your life. If you keep doing the same thing, as Romy mentioned, ignoring it, 7 years. And let's talk about, Romy, those who bankrupt. So those people, I've got some calls this week. Well, I did a bankruptcy. What are you finding in bankruptcy when people are coming to you?
Well, it's tough, right? Because there definitely is a waiting period, right?
Right.
Most people who do bankruptcy, whether it's a Chapter 13 or 7, there's a waiting period. I've seen people that have went through bankruptcy, and within 2 years, even I think a year and a half to 2 years, they're already back in the market. Their credit profile is improving. Their FICO score is a little shiny already, right?
Yeah.
But it's never the end, right? Bankruptcy is never the end.
Right. And it's not for everyone. I've come to learn that too, Romy. Not everyone needs to go bankrupt. People think, well, I'll just wipe it all clean. That's not always. Sometimes you're dragging it longer than it really needs to be.
Yeah. And plus, you got to qualify for the BK7,
See?
right?
Yep.
It's just not easy. I'm going to get everything. No. So obviously, you go to a bankruptcy advisor, and then they'll tell you which one you qualify for or benefits your financial situation. Right.
And so, but again, I've met people who thought about it, and then when they talk to our credit symposium counselors, where they've come in and looked at their credit report with a lender, he says, no, really, you just need to take care of these 3 items and remove those old addresses. He says, and it clears you up to qualify. And so that simplicity part of it is what we want to do February 3rd. Yes, just make it simple, help you move forward. And again, for me, back in 2015, I was in the crash of the market of 08, 9 and all of that. Yeah. But in 2015, I wanted to get back in position. And the lender told me, well, you're not ready now, but give yourself about 90 days. And on the 94th day, and I share it all the time, the 94th day I was approved back in 2015. That was 15 I worked on it. It came into 16. We were able to get our home in 2016. After the 94th day, we were approved. We were $300,000. And I got a big house back then that's now worth $600,000. Well, the man on the corner has the same house. He wants $630,000, and I think he's overpriced. But $600,000, but he's got a pool. But I just think it's a little over. I know homes have gone up in that area, but I don't think we good at $630,000. But I only owe $260 something on it. But again, now what do? You show people those examples on how to get the equity in your home, and then now you could take the equity and use it towards residual income, and that's a day for another show.
Investments, you name it.
There you go. You're in the right position. You're in the right place, and it's time to do something with it, or take the equity and downsize. Because I don't need 6 rooms now. I think my kids just keep wanting to come home because they got extra rooms. So we're talking about maybe getting a 3-bedroom, right? So we can limit how many get to come back home, right? So. But again, it's just important for us during this show to address February 3rd, 2024, the Credit Restoration Symposium being held at CPLC 555 North Maryland Parkway. Register in advance at 702-349-0162. Register with us. Let's get the ball rolling. So that date will be here before you know it. And it's between 11 and 2 on that Saturday. And then the following Saturday is going to be the home buyer education for February. And don't forget to register now. Today is Thursday, February 10th. Is it the 10th or the 11th?
11th.
Today, the 11th. So the 13th, which is in 2 more days, is our home buyer education there at CPLC 555 North Maryland Parkway. If you have not registered, please do so. There are seating still yet available. We want to get you in. Get your certificate. Romy, how good? Tell them how long that certificate's good for and eligible for.
So my program is a HUD certified program. You get a home buyer certificate, and that certificate is valid for all down payment programs within the state of Nevada. So it's good for a year.
Good for a year. See, there you go. So now you're going to come this Saturday, get your certificate. That's good for a year. On February 3rd, Saturday, which is the first Saturday of February, you're going to get the credit review. So you might be able to be one of the 39 that, the funds left before April 1st.
Yes, yes, of course. So we have that 1.1 million balance left, and in no time we'll have April 1st, and then the whole pot will be replenished. I believe the pot is $10 million each year, so it's a good sizable pot.
Now, we're sharing this pot with California, Arizona still, am I correct?
Yes, it covers 3 states.
3 states.
We definitely want to give it out to Nevada, right?
Definitely. That's why we're on the radio today, and then we want to share it later on and say, look, come and receive the information necessary through this symposium to see where you are. Get some of the money. Romy, is it allocated for down payment, or is it? What's the purpose of the money? Can you explain to the listener?
Simple. Create homeownership, first-time homeownership.
There you go.
That's the whole purpose of the money.
That's all it can be used for. That's it. And so if they don't apply for it, what happens to the money, Romy?
In some cases, the money goes back.
Oh, God.
And we don't want that, of course.
Yes. It goes back. So in other words, we can term it use it or lose it.
Exactly.
So
let's say this region doesn't use their full pot of money. So the bank or the institution that provides the funds will look for another region that might need the money. But we definitely want to keep it within our region, which is Arizona, Nevada, and California.
And we're more concerned with Nevada.
Exactly.
And we're more concerned with Southern Nevada. So we want to show
Clark County.
Clark County?
Do this in up north Reno, Washoe County as well.
Washoe County. Okay. Well, if you got some Washos out there that are listening, then okay, Washoe, you get to use some funds. But we definitely want Clark County, where we're stationed, right? We want everyone to understand we got 1.1 million left, and then we're expecting. Now, this is hypothetically, we're expecting on April to get a $10 million new fund. Did I hear you correctly?
That's correct.
10 million. Okay.
We've been consistent every year so far. So
Okay. All right. So, but let's not wait, everyone. Let's get this credit.
Who's the perfect candidate for the symposium, Greg? If you haven't looked at your score within the last 6 months or even a year, you're the perfect candidate. Even just credit review, so you know where you're at. Know where you are at with your credit profile. That's the most important part. The next thing is let's talk to a lender and get you into a home.
Right. And if you're not ready, when you find out what it really looks like, if you're not ready, it's okay. Don't be, pride is an awful thing, right? People just, I don't want anybody to know. You'll never learn how to become wealth building through equity without knowing. There's this big elephant in the room. It's called credit, and so many people are afraid of it. Well, I know it's bad. I don't want to deal with. No. What you should be afraid of is that landlord saying he's going to sell that house.
Some consumers are just put in the back seat and just set it and ignore it. I'll deal with it someday.
Right. And then the landlord calls and they want the realtor to do a miracle, but you didn't want to deal with the elephant in the room. We could have had you in a home by now.
That's correct.
Because if you've been, and so let's talk to the first-time home buyer, Romy, which is what? The first-time home buyer is who? Because they hear from me. Let them hear from you. Who's the first-time home buyer?
So what qualifies you as a first-time home buyer? If you haven't been on a title or a deed in the last 3 years, you are considered a first-time home buyer again. So even if you owned in the past, as long as that 3-year period goes by, you're considered a first-time home buyer again.
So it's fair to say if you've been living in that apartment, that house, over 3 years, boom. If you've been living there more than 3 years, you're a first. Because I get it all the time, and I say a first time. Well, Mr. Deville, I've owned a home. I'm like, but how long have you been renting that house? Oh, I've been here 5 years. You're what, Romy? Can you say that again for somebody in the back? So somebody in the back can hear you.
First-time home buyer again. You qualify for these funds. You
qualify. The $29,000, you have to have at least $7,250 of your money. But if you don't have that much and you got $5,000, Romy, if they have $5,000, how much can they get?
They get 20,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
Now the average home price right now for a medium family is about $350, which covers about 15,000 maybe. You got a calculator, a house at 350 at 3.5. How much is that? What is it, like 14? I thought 350 times 3.5%. What do we look?
12,250.
How much?
12,250.
Okay, so you put 5,000 on the table. They match it times 4, gives you 20. But you qualify at 350. You need 12,000 and some change. So you got 8,000 left, which is going to cover some of your closing costs.
That's right.
We'll get half of that covered by the seller, and then you'll be able to keep part of that monies to help buy down some of the print or some of the interest rate, right? Buy down the rate, perhaps.
Either or, right?
Or the principal, yeah. Okay, either or. But that's leverage, and that's using money we have in the pot. Can I say that? Money in the pot.
Yes, you can.
The $1.1 million that's sitting there begging people to come get me. I want to be spent. But again, if we don't use the funds, what's happening with the money? If it sits there, Romy, what's going to happen to the money?
It'll get reallocated to another district. So we don't want that for sure.
And that's what I've been driving for this is my 7th year on radio sharing this information. Many have taken advantage. Wouldn't you agree? We have classes every month, and the numbers are right? We have great size numbers.
Yeah. Last year, the housing market was a little off, right? But we're back in 2024, and we're excited. Yep. And hopefully people get excited about the housing market as well and join us for those classes.
So I want to thank you, Romy, for taking the time out of your busy afternoon. And again, we appreciate CPLC and helping with those down payment programs. There are several. How many exactly are there? About 2 or 3 different ones, 4 or 5?
What was the question again? On
the down payment, how many programs are out there available? 2 or 3 or 4 or 5?
There's about 3 to 4 programs available.
Okay.
Depending, right? There's federal, state, and then rural down payment.
Okay. So it just depends on where they want to live, which program fits them best.
Exactly. The counselor screens them and kind of advises them on what program they may qualify for.
Man, this is powerful. I'm going to share this over and again. February 3rd, everybody, don't forget, you get your report, meet with the lender, the Credit Restoration Symposium. It's going to be dynamic. You're going to want to be a part of it. You're going to want to learn what to do and how to spend that tax refund. Romy, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you, young man. Thank you so much for all you do. And then I'll see you Saturday, this coming Saturday on the 13th.
See you guys all soon as well.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. And we'll talk again. All right, good day. All right, Las Vegas, so you heard it right here at the Greg Deville Let's Talk Real Estate Show, the Credit Symposium. You got to learn about your credit. You need to know how bad is it. It's going to cost you $25 for the report. Now, if a lender pulls a report, you have to pay $50 to $100. But because this is a nonprofit organization, they're able to do it for $25. You have to pay in advance so that the report can be pulled. Stay tuned. I'll be giving you more information. Contact me directly for more information. We're going to send you to a link where you can pay it online. Right? Now, I've been on radio. Many of you have known me for years. If you haven't, Google me. If you haven't seen my show in its entirety, go to my YouTube channel and listen to Greg Deville. Join me on Facebook, on Instagram. We're all over the place. Google me if you forgot the number. It's again 702-349-0162. Look, my engineer's looking upside my head. She says, "You're done, Deville. Get out of here. You're done." But I want to make sure I give you guys February the 3rd. That's going to be 11 to 2 p.m. Call and register early. Get that credit report reviewed with a lender directly so they can sit you down, highlight what to do to get in position. As you heard, there's $1.1 million left that's available for the first-time buyer. That's the person that has not owned a home in the last 3 years. So if that's you, we want to hear from you. 702-349-0162. I've had a great time today. My guests from CPLC, Romy himself, the director of the program. And look, it's a great opportunity for you to put $7,200 into this program and receive up to $29,000 towards your down payment and closing costs. And whatever's left, you could apply it to the principal. This is a great opportunity. Don't miss this upcoming Saturday. We're going to have the first-time buyer class, and that certificate is good for 1 year. And then the following Saturday, which is going to, well, 2 Saturdays after that, which is going to be February the 3rd, that's going to be the credit symposium. So come learn about how bad is your credit, right? And find out what to do, how to do it. And if it's got too much to do, you can meet with the lender, with the credit restoration persons that'll be on standby. You can get a free evaluation with the CPLC organization to do it yourself. They'll walk you through the process. So you can either pay to get it resolved, or you can get free consultation how to do it yourself. It's all coming from the Deville Realty website, gregdeville.com. I'm excited. I want to talk to you about it more. Feel free, if there's any questions we did not address in this show, 702-349-0162. I appreciate you, Las Vegas. So I'm out of here until I talk to you next Thursday at 3 o'clock. May God's best be yours. Take care.
Jones, hey, Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams and wishing. I can feed you fish, or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Great Deville, help you build the foundation.